This is the time where we bring in the featured artist of the week. Ayden, I didn't get a chance to tell you what's going to happen, but this is what's going to happen, so just roll with it. So I want to bring in Ayden Graham from San Francisco. I guess he's originally from Canada, but based in San Francisco now. I have a nickname for him, but I guess I'm not going to say it right now because I
don't do it.
Anyway, I have a question for Ayden actually later on about San Francisco, but I don't want to be mean. So anyway, but Ayden, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in tonight and being our featured artist. How you doing?
Yeah, great. Yeah, glad to be here.
Cool. So your internet seems to be holding up all right. So what we do in this section right here is basically give us like a 30-second elevator pitch of what your music is and what you're doing, and then introduce the song Wooden Bones, which is your new single, I believe. And then we're going to come back. We're going to get deeper with Dave.
Yep.
And that'll be about it. So
sounds good. Well, I'm a singer-songwriter, originally from Canada, living in the Bay Area right now, and I'm playing around with different ways to classify my music, but indie folk rock is kind of the genre, and I occasionally add in something like wistful, and I have wistful indie folk rock in here. So yeah, a little bit of a balance of the soft and the heavy is what I'm striving for.
Cool. So Wooden Bones, tell us just briefly what that song's about.
Yeah,
take a listen.
Yeah, Wooden Bones is actually the title track on my new EP. Here it is, Wooden Bones. And it was originally written trees in my back of my house, and I was thinking about how there's this massive mass oak death thing that had happened in my area of California. Northern California has a lot of live oaks here, and there's some sort of disease that kind of was spreading through them. It's kind of a Pacific Northwest virus that they're always monitoring. But at that time, in recent history, it had kind of flared up, and so I was using the metaphor of the tree dying as like a relationship that's falling apart, and fighting to hold it together. So
awesome, cool. So everybody share this video out. Once again, let everybody know this is the coolest place to hang out on Tuesday night starting at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Rob, the guy with all the buttons of Hicks Video. Let's listen to Ayden Graham with Wooden Bones.
Well, the wood on the branches is rotten, and our love can't hold it anymore. So we fake all the pauses as we sit on the moss on the floor. Don't let the wooden bones crack. Don't let them tear apart. Don't let the leaves fall, 'cause we'll be bare. We'll be bare. We'll be bare. We'll be bare. Bare. If we set our aim for the head, we'll embed every bullet in the wall. And if you decide to run, oh hell, you better pay the toll. Don't let the wooden bones crack. Don't let them tear apart. Don't let the leaves fall, 'cause we'll be bare. We'll be bare. We'll be bare. We'll be bare. Bare.
Deeper with Dave. Deeper with Dave. Oh, yeah.
Sponsored by...
All right, you know what I was feeling on this tune, man? I was thinking like a stripped-down version of Last Dance with Mary Jane by Tom Petty, but more so the song Drive by Incubus. Are either of those bands influences of yours?
Right. So you're wondering about that?
I think you cut out just for a sec, but are either of those bands influences of yours?
I heard Tom Petty, and what was the other one?
Incubus, man. Like, especially the song Drive.
Yeah, definitely Incubus has an influence. Tom Petty, not so much, but I can see the comparison. That's largely in the production. The drummer was like, I'm feeling like a cool Laurel Canyon vibe on this, which wasn't quite what I was thinking, but I was like, okay, yeah, people dig that. I get a lot of comparisons to Neil Young with that chunky guitar riff. So,
what are some of the bands that you would kind of influence you that you just kind of would like to call out that helped kind of mold your sound?
Yeah, well, I'm a little afraid to name it because there's some songs that this sounds drastically close to, but so I won't name that artist first. But Jason artist Glenn Hansard, a lot of the Irish songwriters from the Dublin scene
he won a Grammy, man. He won a Grammy.
Yeah,
I think he actually won an Academy Award for his for that movie. It was like I forgot the name of it, but
the film Once. Well, yeah, so
Once, yes,
big influence. I actually met him around the time I wrote this song, so
awesome.
He exhibited a big influence, and then another influence I like to state. I don't know if it's come out quite yet in my songwriting style is Radiohead. They're
Radiohead, okay.
Me. And I like to sometimes elevator speech. I sort of say like Cat Stevens meets Radiohead. So Cat Stevens was actually probably one of the earliest influences when I was a kid.
I think in a couple minutes, I think it'll start to make more sense for people. Maybe how Radiohead is kind of translates into your music. So I got some good stuff for you, man. So I didn't get a chance to talk to you in the green room. I wanted to just kind of pick your brain a bit, but dude, we're actually similar humans in many ways, man. Checked out your bio and everything. So like I started playing piano as I was 5 years old, started playing trumpet in grade school, then acoustic guitar, started the bands, played lead and picked up bass and drums, got into production engineering. And after touring for 10 years, then got into web development and building business online and everything. It's like those are the songs that I write now is like development with my business. And even Indie Music Plus, it's like I don't play live anymore. I don't think Joe plays live anymore, but like this is Joe and I's collaboration. Like this is our song that we're writing, just this whole business and this show in itself, man. So it's like we're still kind of performing in a sense in that way. So what I want to hear you speak on, man, is like navigating this world and this life as an artist, man, because that's the similar, like my whole life has been kind of around the arts. I mean, I got a scholarship to college for fine art. It had nothing to do with music, but it's like just navigating this whole space where I guess what's in your core is just to be a creator, an artist. And just that's kind of like this theme I've seen in your life and your bio and everything you're doing. Dude, say a few words on just like your philosophy, your approach to navigating this planet as an artist, man. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Wow, that's
I know.
Deep.
It is, man, but that's what we do. We get deep. It's I
could get real wrapped on it.
Oh man, you're cutting out a little, but yeah, go ahead, dude.
Well, I would say, how am I navigating it? I wear a lot of hats. I'm playing right now. I'm currently I'm band leader, manager, booking agent. I do all those things for my music right now. Since I released my EP, I've been really pushing, booking live shows.
Yeah, producer, multi-instrumentalist. I mean, you played the violin. Like, I'll kind of read through your bio when you're done, but it's like that. What I'm interested in hearing from you is just like from an early age, obviously you kind of had a different view than maybe most people about just this world, from an artistic standpoint. Yeah. And that's what I mean by like navigating. It's like all the paths that you take when there's this artistic passion inside your heart. Like how I guess just what's your philosophy about the approach to like not ignore it yet not be a homeless man or so? I mean, it's like
Right.
you know, it's like you have to
Right.
make your way in this world yet.
Okay, I see what you're getting at. 'Cause, I mean, there's my artistic philosophy, which I could get really into, and I have influences and stuff. And I love to talk about that, but from a pragmatic standpoint, yeah, I mean, I definitely. I was working part-time retail in a shoe store a few months ago, and I got laid off from that, and I was so happy about that.
Mhm.
Basically, like 3-4 months now, I'm like full-time as a musician. But I have to kind of utilize all my different skills. So, as a violinist, I grew up playing classical violin, and it's a really big industry. It's the wedding industry, and so I put myself up on a few sites, and I've been hired to play weddings. That's kind of a consistent side income. But also, working as a music editor for about a year and a half, I was the editor for a fitness chain in San Francisco called the Bar Method. And I basically edited their top 40 mixes and just took out all the spacious breaks and stuff and just kept the beat going for them. So that was my day job for a long time. And, in between that, I was booking weddings and I was working on my album in the background. And so, I basically multiple streams of so many books about it. And you basically got to stay in touch with your soul as an artist, and be able to express that in, whatever means possible.
You're getting just a touch glitchy.
I haven't fully figured it out.
Right, you're getting a touch glitchy, but I want you to say more on this. But let me add to that, and that, like, I made this decision coming out of college where I knew I was going to be playing a lot, like it was going to be a big part of my life. I made this decision that, like, my day job, so to speak, I wanted it to be somewhat attached to music, because my other bandmates, all the other guys, I played in a few different bands at the time, and they all just had day jobs, all different types of jobs. And I made this decision, like, I figured out a way to pay my bills just by playing in 2 more bands. Like, rather than just like playing one band and just like work, at the Board of Trade or something, because my buddy was going to get this job for me there. It's like, you know what? I'd rather, I just wanted to stay completely engulfed in the space, because I wanted to get the most out of my creative brain. Like, I didn't want to detach from it at any time during that period in my life. But I don't know how that sounds to some people. Like, I guess the opportunities are not always there. Like, if you live in a smaller town, you can't just play in 4 bands like that. I was in the heart of Chicago, like living downtown. It was not, I had the opportunity, but it was just like, I always want to like check in with people on that, because I guess it is a choice, but not always. But anyway, I'm kind of veering off, but really I just wanted to hear your thoughts on just how you approach life in a manner that you're not veering too far from like what's in your heart, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm always looking for opportunities to utilize all of my other skills. So if I'm just playing a lot of gigs with my band, just singing and playing guitar, that's great. I mean, that's what I'm aiming for. I want that to be more frequent. But because I also play violin, and keyboards and percussion stuff, I end up stepping in as a sideman for a lot of other bands. So for a few months I was playing fiddle with like this kind of folk punk outfit up in Sonoma. So I was doing that, and I've been getting. I just recently had to turn down a gig for a keyboardist backing up like a hip hop R&B singer, because I'm just like, I'm sorry, man, I can't learn your material right now. And just like spread too thin. This weekend actually I have 3 Celtic trio gigs that I'm doing. I play fiddle and Celtic style music. I've been to Ireland, so doing a bit of the diddly eye this weekend, and just trying to keep up with all my different projects at once.
All right, so like reading your bio, it says like you took a couple trips to Ireland. It says like you sharpened your fiddle and your violin while playing out there. What was the reason for the trip? Was it just kind of an escape, or was it for a specific purpose?
Well, yeah, I mean, I felt really strongly since I was a child that like Celtic music had this sort of essence that was connected to my ancestry, my heritage. You know, I'm part Irish. Graham is a Scotch Irish name, and so you know, I visited there once with my parents, and I just fell in love with the place. The people there and the music and just the culture is just so rich. You know, you go there and it rains all the time, and it's super green and just full of, you know, life. The earth is just like giving off this aroma, but the people are much the same. You know, they have many pints of Guinness every day, every night. You know,
Yes.
As one would expect, as a stereotype goes, it's fairly true. But in terms of their appreciation of music, it's unlike any other place. I mean, you can play on the street and people will empty their pockets of all their change. And there, of course, the 1 and 2 euros are coins. So you can make a living as a busker. So I was really inspired by the stories of Glenn Hanser. Damien Rice is another influence, Mark Geary, Nick Christopher. They're all friends who played on Grafton Street in Dublin, and I really wanted to visit the place that, you know, that creative source was coming from. And but I'd also, since I'd been a kid and, you know, playing in orchestra, every time we pulled out some sort of like Gaelic suite, which, you know, combination of a bunch of different Celtic tunes, I really got into it. So after the first time I visited Ireland, I found a local Irish learning group, Kiltis group, and I started picking up the fiddle tunes. And so when I went to Ireland, it was sort of to really get to the source and learn new material. And it's great. You get free drinks if you're a musician. So
Yeah, I mean, and also you study with like in jazz with Ray Brown and Michael Smolin's like percussionist.
yeah.
I mean, you kind of been just like going on this journey. Was it a subconscious journey? Like, were you just kind of going with the flow, or was it calculated? Do you like?
You know, I try to pretend it's not calculated, but like I went into the university setting and I was like, well, I'm going to try to see if like something like, you know, linguistics or, you know, computer programming or something like the hard sciencey stuff will like stick. But I'm like, no, I'm going to do literature and electronic music. And then, all these people keep telling me if I want to study jazz, I got to go study with this guy. And I was like, I'm going to do jazz because I want to get into the improv game. So, yeah, it was kind of like I wasn't going to an arts, like a music conservatory setting. I felt a little intimidated about doing something like that, but I also felt like I needed a certain level of flexibility. So, you know, going to, you know, a couple different schools, UCSC and then Cabrillo.
Right. And I mean, I love hearing this stuff, and I hopefully the people watching, you know, are interested in this stuff too, because it's like, it's the story behind how you came to your present day sound. I mean, like your whole life is an influence, like all the people you worked with, all the people you met, the different countries you go to. I mean, the sounds in the background, it all enters your ears, goes into your brain, and like they all move you in different ways. And then you write music, which sounds like what you want to make, and that's where you are today. So, but we got to wrap this up pretty soon. So, like, what's next for you? Like this year, are you starting to just kind of play more on the road, or are you like pretty much based in San Fran for a while?
So you're asking about touring, like. Is a little bit more like a year out. I've been really trying to establish a fan base in the local community. So when I had my release show, I had a pretty good crowd there, and I'm just trying to kind of hit up all the different venues in this area so that, you know, I have a strong foundation. I can leave town and come home and have a good home crowd.
Exactly. All
But
right.
at the same time, you know, going back to Ireland is actually a really good goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got like a delay on our feed right now. So I'll just tell people your website, which is aydengraham.com, AYDEEN, GRAHAM.com. There's his album. You could like pause the video and look at it up close. But yeah, if you want to say some final words, Ayden.
Well, yeah, thanks for asking such insightful questions. I love talking about stuff like this, and I hope people gain some valuable insight about, you know, what it is to be an artist in multidisciplinary fields, and, you know, learning from life experience. Because, yeah, it's an exciting journey, and I'm really glad to be on it.
Well, man, that's how we roll here, man. We get deep here. We like to get into the guts. We don't like to stay on the surface, ask the same questions everyone else would. So, anyway.